You learn a lot from living abroad. And one of the things that I recall from my years in Mexico was a situation where I had hired a new gardener. His name is Jaime. And after telling him how I wanted the garden and how I wanted the trees pruned, etc., I noticed that it wasn't getting done. And I approached him and said something like this: Jaime, what's with the trees and the bushes? I see that you're mowing the lawn, but hey, I could do that. I need those bushes to get pruned. Well, guess what? He never came back. And I was perplexed. I talked to his cousin Marcos, and I'm like, Marcos, where's Jaime? Is he sick? And Marcos says to me, Senora, he says you weren't happy with his work. And I'm like, yeah, Marcos, but I just told him to prune the trees. Tell him to come back. And Marcos says again, Senora, he says you weren't happy with his work. And I'm like, I know, but he must have misunderstood. I didn't fire him. Tell him just to come back. Marcos says to me one third time, Senora, he says you weren't happy with his work. And at that point, I realized that Marcos, in his very high context, indirect way, was telling me he thinks you're a jerk and he doesn't want to work for you. Well, I learned my lesson. And I realized, Maria, you got to change the way you do things a little bit. So fast forward, new gardener, Cirilo. And first thing I did was say to Cirilo, I'm not Mexican. And I've been told that I can be a little bit direct. But please don't be offended. Let me know if I sound a little harsh. But please know that I have the best intention. And he was like, no problem, senora. We had a long and fruitful relationship, even though we had a few disagreements, but everything went well. One of the things that I have recommended many of my clients, especially if you're an expat or if you're working in a new multicultural team, is to use maybe this disclaimer method. And I call it disclaimer because you're starting off by acknowledging that you're probably going to have different perspectives, cultural perspectives, and the way that you communicate might be a little different. But addressing it kind of brings it to the forefront, and stating your good intention for the team, it helps bring that to the forefront of people's minds, and they will probably be much more gracious with you because you've talked about it. So this helped me a lot in my journey abroad and with people from different cultures. And it also helps a lot to talk about it in the beginning. It's what we call the meta talk, or talking about how you're going to talk. And it helps people know that you have the best intention and that you want things to work out.